Hello everyone, Pratima here, and for the past few weeks I have been daily driving the Google Pixel 10. Yes, another compact phone in 2025. Just look at the number of compact phones that have been launched this year. It's quite astonishing. Literally every brand has its own small phone in 2025 because data shows demand for compact devices has skyrocketed over the past couple of years. For me, in terms of pure value, the Vivo X200 FE is still unbeatable. It has nice balanced specs for just 55,000 rupees. And then we have last year's iPhone 16, which is currently available at a crazy price of just 52,000 rupees. The only downside is that it has a 60Hz refresh rate display, but if you can look past that, it's a great deal. Meanwhile, the upcoming iPhone 17, which I've already pre-ordered by the way, looks insanely good and might just end up being the phone of the year. So before I go and talk about my experience with the Pixel 10, let's be real, for 80,000 rupees, I honestly feel like it's a bad value no matter how you look at it. And if you compare the Pixel 9 and the Pixel 10 side by side, the differences are so minor that it's hard to justify paying almost double the price. The biggest thing I was expecting from Google this year is a major leap in performance. They finally moved away from Samsung's fabrication to TSMC, the same company that makes Apple's chips, Qualcomm Snapdragon lineup, MediaTek's Dimensity series, and even chips for AMD and Intel. So naturally, my expectation was, oh, finally the new Tensor G5 is going to be on par with the competition. But I am really disappointed to see the scores in all of the benchmarks that I compared. It's just so far behind, and this is especially frustrating when Qualcomm and MediaTek are about to drop their next-gen flagship chips in just a few days' time. Now, I know Google does not usually brag about raw performance gains. Instead, they always say their focus is on the user experience side of things. And to be fair, that's true if you're just a basic user. The software experience here is excellent, fluid animations, smooth navigation, and honestly, it feels fast in day-to-day use. I also noticed it does not heat up as quickly as older Pixel devices during light tasks, which is a nice improvement. But as soon as I start doing something demanding, like when I'm on a group video call on Messenger for like 15 to 20 minutes, the back of the phone gets really hot that I literally had to place it on a stand instead of holding it. And when it comes to the GPU performance, things are even more disappointing. A phone at this price point should be able to handle games effortlessly, but the Pixel 10 struggles. Even with PUBG Mobile, it can't maintain a stable 60 FPS. The frame drops and jitters are constant, and the phone heats up very quickly. Anyway, one of the areas where the Pixel 10 redeems itself is in terms of the battery life. Google has bumped up the battery capacity this year. It's still not the fancy silicon carbon tech we see in almost all of the Chinese phones, but combined with the more efficient 3nm Tensor G5, the results are quite impressive. I have been consistently getting around 7 hours of screen on time on heavy usage days, even when gaming or shooting a lot of photos and videos. And on lighter, more typical days, the Pixel 10 easily stretches to 8 to 9 hours of screen on time, which is honestly one of the best endurance I have seen on a Pixel device so far. Another new addition to the Pixel 10 series is the magnetic Qi2 wireless charging. It comes with built-in magnets on the back, which is basically Google's take on Apple's MagSafe, which Google is calling Pixel Snap. But here's the disappointing catch. The official Pixel Snap charger costs a whopping 4,500 rupees, which is the exact same price as Apple's MagSafe. I want to call this the rich man's luxury flex. Okay, moving on to the design and display, it's practically the same as last year. Same compact form factor, same signature camera module. Well, it's not as thin as the Galaxy S25, but I really don't mind that. The overall build here is excellent. Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the front and back, aluminum frames, and overall, it feels solid and premium in the hand. And I think the 6.3-inch screen is also that perfect sweet spot for compact size. Likewise, last year's Pixel 9 already had top-tier display quality, and the Pixel 10 improves with even better brightness numbers. Outdoors, side by side with the S25, just look at how bright the Pixel 10 is. That said, I wish Google had gone with an LTPO panel here. Instead, it can either go 60Hz or 120Hz with no in-between adaptive refresh rate. Still, the colors here are excellent. The HDR10 Plus works beautifully across all the OTT platforms I tested. Touch response is so satisfying and the haptics are easily the best I have seen on any compact phone right now. Even the speakers are fairly impressive. They have a nice bass punch with fuller sound and overall they are enjoyable. So the reason why I am calling the Pixel 10 a bad value is partly because of the camera experience I had with this phone. Yes, Google has provided an additional 5x telephoto lens for zoom shots, which is great, but the main and the ultra-wide cameras are actually a downgrade compared to last year's Pixel 9. The ultra-wide camera does not even have autofocus, which means you can't take proper macro close-up shots. Now, to be fair, because the Pixel is so good with software processing and optimization, the regular photos still come out quite decent. I tested the Pixel 10 against the Galaxy S25, which in my opinion is currently the best compact camera phone. And as you can see from these samples, the Pixel 10 does manage highlights better, especially in direct sunlight. The Pixel tends to go for a more natural look, keeping shadows and contrast balanced. Samsung, on the other hand, produces punchy, contrasty images and crushes the shadows. If you zoom in, Pixel also holds on to more detail, but in terms of color temperature, Pixel often leans towards a warmer side while Samsung goes for a cooler tone, and depending on the scene, that could be good or bad. On the ultra-wide side, Pixel's field of view is definitely wider than the S25. Just like the main camera, it manages highlights better and keeps colors on the natural side. But this sometimes makes the photos look a bit flat, whereas I found Samsung's ultra-wide shots to be more vibrant and eye-catching. In low light, I like how Pixel handles glares from bright sources. Likewise, in this photo of the Krishna Mandir, Samsung gives a weird yellow tone, but Pixel keeps it accurate. And in this candle shot, the warmer look on Pixel actually makes it really pleasing. Where both phones struggle is in the low light ultra-wide shots because of the smaller sensors. Images look soft and lack detail, which is disappointing at this price range. Now, moving to the front camera, Pixel 10 did not get an upgrade. It's the same 10.5 megapixel sensor as before, but it does have a wider field of view compared to the S25. And as you can see, colors on Pixel are on the natural side, while Samsung again goes for a more vibrant tone. Both look good, it just depends on your preference. When it comes to zoom, the 5x and beyond, the Pixel 10 clearly has the advantage. It's a dedicated 5x telephoto lens, plus Google's AI sharpening makes zoom shots so much more detailed. The only catch is that Pixel only goes up to 20x zoom. But there are two areas where Pixel really disappointed me. Number one, the portraits. If you know me, you know that I take a lot of portraits, and honestly, portrait on Pixel phones hasn't improved in years. Samsung is just better across the board, sharper details, more accurate edge detection, and better skin tones. Samsung also has a dedicated 3x portrait lens, while Pixel simply crops into the main sensor for 3x portraits, which means you will get subpar detail, depth inaccuracy, and weird over-sharpening. Another weird part is that Pixel does not even allow native 5x portrait shots. First, you need to take a 5x photo and then manually apply the portrait effect. Sometimes it works, but most of the time it's unreliable and just a hassle. The second big disappointment is the video quality. From the main camera, videos look soft with some weird jitters at times, and for a phone at this very price range, that's pretty average, I would say. On the positive side, the ultra-wide video and selfie videos are better. So like I said at the very beginning, yes, the Pixel 10 is a good phone, but you should definitely not buy it at the full MRP of 80,000 rupees. Yes, Pixel's biggest strength has always been its fantastic software experience, and this year, Google has added some really cool new AI features like Gemini Live and Magic Q, but here's the problem. Most of these AI features right now are exclusive to the US market, and that's just weird. Especially because if you remember, right before launch, Google mocked Apple by saying don't buy a phone just for a feature that's coming soon. And yet, here we are with the Pixel 10. Most of its hyped AI features like the Magic Q are also in the coming soon category. Alright everyone, that was all for my full experience with the Google Pixel 10. What do you think about this device? Would you buy it for an MRP of 80,000 rupees? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're there, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Saying this, I'm Pratima and I will see you in my next video.